Welcome to the lecture for Chapter 11 that examines how PR practitioners can reach diverse audiences. Today, minorities constitute 1/3 of the United States population, and it is projected that by 2042, minorities will make up the majority of the total population. It is important to know diverse audiences, but we need to keep one key thing in mind as we talk about the characteristics of each demographic. It is never okay to reinforce negative stereotypes about an audience. Research can provide commonalities or tendencies among races and ethnic groups, but PR practitioners should never highlight negative stereotypes. Let's begin by analyzing 3 ethnically diverse audiences in America: Hispanics, African Americans, and Asian Americans. Today, the Hispanic Latino population is the largest ethnic group in the United States. PR campaigns are increasingly focused on this group. The Hispanic public should not be thought of as a monolithic group. They represent over 20 countries ranging from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and South America. General research, however, indicates that Hispanics prefer ads in Spanish over English, although younger Hispanics are more comfortable with English. Spanish language media outlets have grown dramatically over the past few years, and today there are an estimated 2,500 U.S. Hispanic media outlets. Radio is an important way to reach this group, and Hispanics listen to 26 to 30 hours of radio a week, higher than the general population. Television is also expanding with Univision, the predominant Spanish language network, reaching a large percentage of Spanish speakers. Another group the textbook talks about is African Americans. There are more than 40 million African Americans in the United States today, and they have the longest history in the United States as a minority group. In PR, the terms African American and Black are often used interchangeably in marketing and public relations contexts. In recent years, the income level of Black households making over $75,000 has risen to 2.5 million, and research shows that affluent Blacks are more likely to spend on fashionable clothes, toiletries, cosmetics, and cruise vacations. Black media is less extensive than Hispanic media, but there are still around 175 Black newspapers in the U.S., and popular magazines such as Ebony and Essence and the Black Entertainment Television Network have a large audience. A third demographic in the U.S. is Asian Americans. There are now more than 18 million Asian Americans in the U.S., and in general, Asian Americans are the most affluent and well-educated minority group. The median household income is $66,000, 28% higher than the total median U.S. income. Asian Americans can be reached via digital media, and research shows that more than any other demographic, they are more likely to make online purchases, actively use social networks, have more accessibility to broadband at home, and they stream more videos on Hulu and YouTube. When communicating to various minority groups, there are common threads among the diverse groups. These groups share deep family ties with a strong mother or father figure, music, food, religion, and strong bonds in between family and friends. PR campaigns should program campaigns taking the following factors into consideration. First, in PR, you should organize a team with an inherent understanding of the customs and values of the various demographic groups you are trying to reach. Second, it's important to understand that consumers of diverse cultural backgrounds respond better to messages that are culturally relevant. Third, remember that consumers of diverse cultural backgrounds are extremely loyal, and once your products and services become part of their lives, there's a very good chance you will keep them. Fourth, PR professionals should use the primary language of the audience. A large portion of minority audiences prefer to communicate in their primary language, even if they have strong English skills. And finally, use spokespersons that represent the audience. Just make sure they can communicate well and can be sensitive to issues that are important to the audience. Another way to understand audiences is through the age of the audience members. The textbook discusses 4 types of age-related audiences: millennials, teenagers, baby boomers, and seniors. The millennial generation is made up of individuals born from 1980 to 1995. They constitute 20% of the U.S. population, and worldwide there are 1 billion millennials. This is an important demographic because they have purchasing power. They can influence their parents' purchases, and they are becoming adult consumers. Furthermore, millennials are rabid consumers of media and are often referred to as the E generation. 80% want brands to entertain them, 62% recycle, 40% agree that a celebrity endorsement influences them to buy a product, and 90% text message. The younger siblings of millennials are today's teenagers, and research shows they are even more addicted to wireless communication than millennials. 95% use a cell phone, 75% have a social networking profile, and 20% have posted a video of themselves online. In public relations, it is important to understand the characteristics of how teenagers communicate and interact with others, especially if you need to create campaigns for this demographic. The third demographic by age are baby boomers. This generation was born in between 1946 and 1964 and make up about 24% of the U.S. population, or 78 million people. They have $3 trillion in purchasing power, and 60% of beer and carbonated beverages are purchased by boomers. Boomers are an active and socially conscious group that are likely to be involved in a cause. And the last group is seniors. This group is made up of men and women 65 years and older. Seniors are often less easily convinced than young adults, demand value in products, and don't pay attention to fads. They vote in large numbers and are intense readers of newspapers and magazines. A large portion of this group volunteers because they have a lot of free time. They are extremely health conscious and are interested in medical developments. They are not really interested in household goods, but they eat out frequently, buy lots of gifts, and travel often. In PR, practitioners should avoid the old folk stereotype, as research shows they are often active and looking for new experiences and social engagement. Besides the age of audiences, we can also understand audiences through gender and lifestyle. We'll begin by looking at women. Women make 80% of household purchase decisions, and it is estimated they spend anywhere from $5 to $15 trillion a year. Women aged 25 to 54 are super consumers and embrace new media faster than men. Another segment of women are supermoms, and they have a strong word-of-mouth influence with the people they interact with. This is important for PR because if you influence a supermom, she can spread your message through word of mouth. Another type of audience is the gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgendered community. This community is now a mainstream demographic that consists of 9 to 16 million gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgendered people in the United States. This group has an estimated $750 billion purchasing power, has high brand loyalty, and the majority are more likely to buy products from a company perceived to be gay-friendly. This demographic is technologically oriented, so the internet is a good way to reach them. Religious groups are another type of demographic that PR professionals need to be aware of. The textbook divides religious audiences into Christian evangelicals, the Jewish community, and the Muslim community. Christian evangelicals have strong opinions about preserving traditional family values, supporting prayer in public schools, voting for conservative politicians. They're traditionally opposed to civil rights for gays and lesbians, sex education in schools, and abortions. Evangelicals often participate in boycotts and protests of companies that have policies they disagree with. Members of the Jewish community tend to be more liberal on social issues and have a reputation for being well organized, active in political fundraising, and influential on pending legislation. The Muslim community represents a growing group in the United States, and they come from a variety of countries such as Asia, Europe, and Africa. There are about 6 million Muslims in the United States, and they spend anywhere between $125 and $200 billion a year. Although more and more companies are reaching out to this demographic, research shows that 98% of American Muslims feel that U.S. brands don't reach out to them. The final community Chapter 11 discusses is the disability community. Like other groups, this is a very diverse group that includes people in wheelchairs, are blind, are deaf, or have learning, behavioral, or speech disabilities. PR practitioners should be sensitive to their needs and how to effectively communicate with them. It is okay to say deaf, but you should use mobility impaired or physically disabled rather than handicapped or crippled. The best medium to reach a variety of disability groups is television. Furthermore, some people don't want to admit that they have a disability such as hearing loss. In this case, you want to craft messages that are about innovation and making life easier instead of buying a hearing aid out of necessity. Thank you for listening to the lecture on Chapter 11 that discusses diverse audiences. Today we discussed demographics based on race and ethnicity, age, lifestyles, religion, and disability. The United States is increasingly becoming more diverse, and the world is becoming more globalized. It is vital in public relations to understand the characteristics of varying demographics in order to effectively craft messages to each specific group. You must remember, however, that you need to be sensitive to group concerns and never reinforce negative stereotypes about a group. Thank you for listening.